What comes to mind when you think about Africa? The Lion King, a jungle ground where we live and dwell with lions. Coming to America, traditional expression of attires to show our culture. Do you travel 2 to 3 miles to fetch drinking water? Do you use flushable toilets? Oh, Joseph, I bet it's scorching hot in Africa. These are questions my peers have asked me over the years I've been in the United States. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I first came to the United States in 2010 as an exchange student through the Kennedy-Lugar Youth Exchange program. And I was blessed to live with an awesome family. They're in the audience today, the Arnolds. And before coming in, I had my own ideas about America. I have a funny story actually to tell about the state I ended up being in. As I was selected to be part of this exchange program, and I was meeting my new sister, host family, Rebecca. She and I were talking, and she told me that they live in Michigan. Funnily enough, I didn't even know about Michigan, but I knew about Detroit. I knew about Eminem, Ford Motor, and all of that stuff, but I did not know that Detroit was in Michigan. And so I had my own views. When we live in Africa, when we live out of this place, tell you that it's a wealthy nation, everyone is rich, loaded, or we have everything is made up, there's no struggle, there's no bad things happening, we get those views. So there's IMF definition for developing nations. Nations are countries whose standard of living, income, economic and industrial development remain more or less average. All of Africa, Central and South America, mostly Asia, and numerous island states, about 152 countries, which makes up 6.77 billion of the world population. That's about 85.4% of the global population, are categorized as developing nations. Now, how do we view them? First of all, I'd like to break it to all of us here today that Africa is not a country. It is a continent. And the United States is not a continent, but it is a country. There are 54 countries in the continent of Africa. Among those 54 countries, I come from one of them on the West Coast, beautiful Sierra Leone. And in Sierra Leone, we have 17 ethnic groups. Those are 17 different languages that people speak. A comparison to that, the United States of America, about 67.8 million people speak a language in homes other than English. And there's about 350 plus languages in the United States. So, Sierra Leone, the United States. I'll spend all of my life in these two places. And as I discuss this topic about Western misconceptions on developing nations, I'll be using those two places as a case study to better help us see developing nations from a different perspective. Do we wear clothes? Or maybe we've seen the movie Coming to America where the scene shows people showing their cultural attires. and getting asked, Joseph, do you guys tie leaves around your waist? Well, civilization has reached Africa, and it's actually started in Africa. It's a civilized place. So yes, we do wear clothes, sadly enough, we do. And here are different cultural traditional dresses, and as you can see, I'm showcasing one of those. The Africana design, and I come from the Krankot tribe, so the picture in the middle there, it's from actually my own tribe, the Krankot tribe. And to my right, it's an image that was taken in 2011 when I attended the leadership conference in Baltimore, Maryland. And I'm standing there with my friend Boubacar, who is from Mali. And that's another African dress we have there, Bamako. I usually don't do overall, all of it. I like to mix it a little bit. Some people do with jeans and different types. But yes, we do wear dresses. We don't just walk around with leaves tied around our waist, except you still live in the days of the old Stone Age, which we have gone from. Do we walk 2 to 3 miles to fetch water? You know, the water scarcity is a global problem. It's not just a developing nation problem. In the United States of America, there are 2.2 million people that are without adequate water systems and have no plumbing houses, access in indoor homes. And about 44 million people are without adequate water systems. And the image I'm showing here to my left, it's an image of some of these problems we have in Sierra Leone. You see this little girl going outside the community to go fetch water and bring it home. And to my right is in California's Central Valley, where they have water crisis. About 95% of families living in Central Valley don't have access to adequate water systems. And they rely on groundwater systems to use in homes. That is not in a developing nation, that is right in the United States of America. The problem of the water crisis or systems of that, it's about the same. Is it humid? But it's hot. And I tell my friends that my favorite season actually is winter. And that's because I love the snow. And when my host family introduced me to skiing, it was a scary experience, starting that and looking at, I'm going to go downhill and see there's trees, how can I brake and stop? I might go break my neck and do stuff like that. And then tried it, loved it, and winter, funnily enough, became my favorite season because I always struggle with the heat. Well, again, as I mentioned previously, Africa is a continent, and there are 54 countries in it. So we have multitude of nations like you will have right home here in the United States. The weather in Michigan, it's not the same weather in Florida. And these images, some of you might be thinking they're probably somewhere from the West. That's in Lesotho. It's one of the countries in Africa. Morocco, Algeria. These are 3 countries in Africa that do experience winter and they do have snow. Sadly enough, I don't have it in Sierra Leone. It's 2 seasons, 6 months of rain, 6 months of dry. Why do I think we have these narratives and these differences? The economy. The United States of America, as of today, when they did the report of the first quarter, there's 26 trillion GDP. In my country, Sierra Leone, we have 4 billion GDP. 26 trillion, 4 billion. Study shows that in the United States of America, The average American, now that doesn't mean that all of us are captured in that data, it's just the average, live on $164 per day. In Sierra Leone, the average citizen lives on $1.25 per day. Think about how much you can do with $164 in a day versus $1.25. Probably wouldn't get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. These differences, this economic power and pull that we have in most Western nations as compared to developing nations plays a huge impact in terms of the access to basic amenities of life, the facilities that people enjoy in the West or that we see in movies, Hollywood, that we probably don't see in Africa. We don't have to go far to see some of this within our own society. You know, I've seen some shows, I've seen some movies, and I've visited some places in the West and in America, to be specific. And we do have cultures, Native American cultures, or the Hawaiian people, or other people that do have their traditional dresses. It might not be the same like this, like Eddie Murphy and co. we're trying to show in Coming to America. But that is their culture. That's how the people express themselves. That does not depict the picture that's how everyone in that particular country or that particular continent or region dresses. The media or Hollywood might scare you off from going to Africa or living there. And I speak to a friend who relocated from the US to Sierra Leone recently. And they were like, are you crazy, live in America to go to Africa? To live in Sierra Leone? And we usually get the picture that this is a villa in Freetown, the capital city of my country, Sierra Leone. And this place is in Baltimore, Maryland. The narrative might be that, oh, that's how Africa looks like. Well, that's how the United States or the West in general looks like. But that's not the reality. A lot of people might know this guy to my left, Elon Musk, and the guy to my right who might not know him. Elon Musk, until recently, was the richest man on planet. Today, he's the second richest. Net worth of $174.5 billion. To my right is Aliko Dangote, 134th richest man on planet, net worth of $13.6 billion US dollars. What did they have in common? Well, these are two people. Elon Musk was born in Pretoria, South Africa, in the continent of Africa, born and raised. Aliko Dangote was born in Kano, Nigeria, in the western part of Africa. Two big players in the global economy, two big players, two influential people that come from a developing nation that were born and raised there. Times did the recent study of the greatest places to visit on planet. And when I went over their places, and I was very glad to find out that my country, beautiful Sierra Leone, that a lot of people might know about from the war we had with Blood Diamond or poverty and suffering, that Freetown Peninsula, it's highly recommended. And there are like 7 other places in Africa that make that list. So if you're planning your next vacation, I know Caribbean and all these other places, nice and good. But Sierra Leone, Africa, it's in that category. You know, meet the people, meet the culture, and exploring that. So at the end of the day, when I was sitting and thinking about the essence of a changing world, you know, what makes us all different, but again, the humanity inside us, we are all actually the same. We just are different because of the resources we have, the access to these resources. The United States is not a continent. We like to project it from that point, like, oh, I'm from the United States, you are from Africa. No, you are from North America. 592 million people in North America, 23 countries or sovereign territories, 296 languages, one continent. And United States is in that bubble. I, Joseph, come from African continent, 1.4 billion people, 2,100 languages, 3,000 plus ethnic groups, 54 countries. So it is not a United States versus Africa conversation, but United States versus the specific country that the individual comes from. And in every society, even in America, we have the haves and the have-nots. I am from Africa, Elon Musk is from Africa, but Joseph and Elon Musk are on different spectrum when it comes to the power they have in terms of the financial wealth. Aliko Dangote is from Nigeria, Joseph is from Sierra Leone. We hold different places. It's just in America. A Warren Buffett is probably different from a Tyler or a Caleb. Different socioeconomic status and standing. But we are all human beings that have the same, basically, heart, humanity, and the kindness of it. So when I think about the essence of a changing world, for me, I had my own misconceptions, but being involved in the exchange program and learning and being curious, be curious, explore. If you have the privilege to travel, take the chance. Jess mentioned the experience traveling to UK in her speech and how that changed and the impact and things she learned. And I've mentioned being in the United States as an exchange student in 2010 and getting to know that, what I saw in the movies was not exactly how it is. It helped me to learn a little bit. And always be prepared to learn. We never get old to learn. We never get tired beyond that. And then you will get to see the beautiful side of humanity that makes us all the same in our own differences. Thank you.